Before we dive into this episode, today I am super excited to share that our annual sale is almost here. From November 28th through December 1st, you can get 50% off your annual subscription to Plan to Eat. Head to the show notes for a link with more information about the sale and email us at help@planteat.com if you have any specific questions.
I'm Riley.
And I'm Ronnie,
And this is the Plan to Eat podcast.
where we have conversations about meal planning, food, and wellness to help you answer the question, what's for dinner? Hello, welcome back to the Plan to Eat podcast. Today we are busting some myths. We are talking about meal planning myths today. We're going to do some busting so that we can all be on the same page with what meal planning is and what meal planning isn't.
That's a great way to put it, especially as we head into the holidays, especially as we head into New Year's and resolutions. Like, just getting it straight helps us all have a better mindset as we move into those phases of the year.
That's true. If you're wanting to start a meal planning habit, whether right now, which would be a great time to start meal planning because you'll have about 6 weeks before the new year that you could establish your meal planning habit if you started now. Or
I mean, I'm all about not waiting.
I am
Just
too.
do it. Do the thing you want to do.
Let's be honest. January 1st only has significance because we put it there.
Yeah.
If you want to put your significance on November 21st instead, do it, man.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
I'm a Monday starter. Like,
Sure.
I do like to plan for a few days before I get started with something new. Shocker, I love planning. So, there's 52 options every year.
Hey,
roughly.
that's a good way to look at it. I like it.
You don't need to wait for the first.
That's right. But even if you are, getting your mindset right around meal planning can be a good place to start. If you're dragging your feet and procrastinating, maybe listening to this podcast will help you get started.
You want to jump in?
Let's jump in.
All right. The first myth is I only need to meal plan for big holiday meals.
Yeah, we're going to bust this one right up. Obviously, the myth here is that meal planning isn't only for big holiday meals. It's for any meal that you're feeling stressed out about, any meal where you need to just take the brain drain and decision fatigue out of it. And that's what meal planning is going to help you do. If you, do your meal plan on the weekend, it takes the stress away on all your weeknights, all your busy weeknights potentially. And it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you money at the grocery store. And again, going to save you that brain drain situation.
Yeah. And I would add just only that you should also plan for big holiday meals.
Absolutely.
Think about how much easier that is. If you don't meal plan at all and then you suddenly meal plan on that one day, I feel like it's even harder to meal plan for that one day because you're doing something a little bit outside of your norm. But meal planning allows you to figure out how many servings you need, what recipes you need, how your recipes fit together in the course of a meal, especially like Thanksgiving. Like, do all these things like work together? Is it, do we have a nut? Do we have a green vegetable? Do we have any vegetables? Do we only have the, carby Thanksgiving yumminess? Like, you only planned a pumpkin pie and a turkey? Okay, we got to fill in some gaps here. But especially with like serving sizes, I feel like it's key with a holiday meal. Because if you're having 15 guests over, you need to make sure you've got enough food to go the whole team.
For sure. And I think that what you said is interesting, Riley, that if you only are meal planning for your holiday meal, it's a little more challenging because you're like a little rusty. You haven't done any meal planning. But I also think that that's an opportunity to be like, okay, you planned for your big holiday meal. Look at how much less stressful that was.
Yeah.
To have your grocery list for all the things so that you could just make one trip to the grocery store. And then you had a plan for the things that you were going to cook. And probably even what you did was you planned out what can I do the days before the big meal.
Absolutely.
As well as what can I do on the day of. It's like, how much easier did that make that big meal? And
what day to thaw your turkey? Oof.
Yeah. And so like, how much easier does your daily life become if you're doing that kind of upfront work too?
100%. Yeah, it really does help. I plan not just for big holiday meals, but for big holiday birthdays. Like I have planned for birthday parties, baby showers, like it really does become something that is very much a natural overflow. Like, what if I meal plan every day? Why would I not meal plan for this party I'm throwing on Saturday?
Right. Yep.
I don't want to forget anything. I don't want to have to make a separate trip to the grocery store. I don't want to have to wing it because the key ingredient's missing and the grocery store's closed.
Right. All right. Next myth is meal plans are too hard to stick to. And I'm going to say the related myth to this is also winging it is easier than planning.
Do we also want to add the next one, which is a meal plan is not enjoyable to follow?
Yeah, I think that's a cousin maybe of those other ones.
Yeah, they are definitely in the same fam. But
Yeah.
yeah, so meal plans are hard to stick to. This is a thing we hear from people all the time. If you've been following our dinner dilemmas, some ideas around this being too hard to stick to are what I planned tonight didn't sound good. So that would kind of fall into the enjoyable, maybe. This is not
Hmm.
enjoyable to do. And I guess that, like any habit, we have talked about this. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but like any habit, it's a little hard at first, but once you get into the habit, it isn't hard to follow. You and I have talked a lot about how you and I will plan like 4 dinners. It's not that I'm planning Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm just planning
Hmm.
4 dinners. And in the next 7 days, we're going to eat those 4 dinners. And I switch up my meal plan all the time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want this tonight. I want that. Let's have this. Or, oh man, that night got busy. Let's make the easier meal tonight, the more difficult one tomorrow. And it just starts to flow in a way that's really easy to follow and honestly, really enjoyable to follow because you already have all the ingredients.
Right. Yeah. And I think that, a meal planning feeling hard to stick to might mean that you're planning the wrong recipes,
Oh, that's a good point.
right? Like, I think we've talked about this a little bit on with some of our dinner dilemmas is if it feels hard to stick to, then maybe you need to, pick recipes that are your easy autopilot recipes. Like you could just make them with your eyes closed, or they're just in general recipes that you're familiar with, recipes with maybe fewer ingredients. So you don't feel like you're wrangling 17 things to get your recipe put together. So potentially you need to look at the recipes that you're actually putting on your meal plan and being like, why do I feel like this is so hard to stick to? Like, why don't I want to make these meals?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Because your dinner tonight could be the 3 ingredients you picked up from Trader Joe's because you follow somebody on Instagram, and that's the meal that they, like, "Buy these 3 things and you've got dinner." It doesn't have to be a 45-step or 45 ingredient brand new Asian dish with vegetables your family's never heard of. Like, that's not tonight. That's not how you start meal planning.
Right. Yeah.
Unless that's something you already do and you know how to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then I think the idea that like winging it is just easier, or maybe like winging it is just what we do. I think there's an element of it where you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that like if you think that winging it is easier, it might be because you've never had a successful meal plan, or maybe you've never even tried meal planning, just to have that experience like we're talking about with the you experience it at Thanksgiving or at Christmas, and you experience that like stress relief of having a meal plan and already knowing what's for dinner, and it's not 5 o'clock and you're like, oh, I guess I got to go to the grocery store to like get some sweet potatoes and some eggs or whatever in order to make this recipe happen. And
Yeah.
that's just like what you're used to. I think there's an element of it that's like, if you think winging it's easier, you just don't know what the opposite version is.
Yeah. My brother-in-law was typing an email the other day, and I happened to be FaceTiming with his wife, my sister-in-law. And I could hear him go, oh, he like had deleted his entire email.
Yeah.
So his option in his mind was to retype the entire email. And I
And
said, I think you can just hit Command Z. It's like undo.
yes.
And he did that. And he was like, oh my goodness, like you're a lifesaver. But his immediate response was, oh no, I've got to go do this hard thing all over again. Because,
Yeah.
retyping an email you've already written is super annoying, right?
Right.
But it's the same concept is like, there's an easier way if you can retrain your mind to know that there's an easier, like Command Z is easy. Like that's so easy. Like second nature to me at this point to do
Hmm.
that if I mess up when I'm typing. And the same thing applies here is like he's used to just having to redo his email, but now he can retrain himself to just do Command Z and it's done.
Yeah.
It's back. And the same kind of concept here is like, yeah, you going to the store for the milk or the can of Rotel that just like makes the dinner, like, or whatever. Like, yeah, you can do that and you're probably really used to that. But if you already have it, it's so nice. It's like, and that becomes that like feeling of refreshment, like that stress gets lifted. It's like, oh, there's an easier way. You
Hmm.
just need that positive reinforcement to start working toward that new habit.
Yep. Yeah. And then this other one here of meal planning isn't enjoyable to follow, or like a meal plan isn't enjoyable to follow. I think people might also say this is something like meal planning's boring, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
oh,
think
yeah,
those would
yeah.
be pretty related. And in my opinion, I think meal planning is whatever you want it to be.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't, if your meal planning is only boring if you make it that way, right? If
Yeah.
you're only planning boring recipes that you're tired of and your family's tired of, and they all kind of have the same whatever flavors, well, then you can create a different meal plan. You get to control the variety and the flavors and the cuisine and the ingredients. And there are literally millions of recipes online
Mhm.
that could add more excitement to your weeknight dinners.
Yeah.
So I really think that if you feel like it's not enjoyable to follow, again, it could be an issue with what are the recipes that you're planning? What's on your meal plan?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just is it too hard to follow and that's why it's not enjoyable? It's that you're planning stuff that you don't like
Right.
or that you've eaten too many times. Like, that
Mhm.
happens at our house. Like, it was just a couple of weeks ago. I had planned the whole week, and you're gonna think this is really funny, actually. I told my husband, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you what's on our meal plan this week," because I had not purchased groceries yet. And he's like, "Give me the highs and the lows." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "I wanna hear, like, the good stuff on the meal plan first, and then tell me the bad stuff on the meal plan." And I, like, died because I it's how funny, like, he views it as, like, highs and lows. And I read him the meal plan, and he was like, "Oh, it's all highs." And I was like, "Sweet." But some of the reason it was all highs is because the week prior, my daughter had come to me and she had said, "Mom, like, we haven't had this in forever. Could we have this for dinner?" And I was like, "Sure." So I immediately added it to the next week's meal plan. And then that, for whatever reason, whatever she told me she wanted to eat sparked another thing that I had forgotten
Mhm.
we hadn't had in a while. So I added that. And suddenly I had this meal plan pre-made for the week ahead. And it was all highs, apparently.
Apparently your 5-year-old and your husband have similar tastes.
They definitely do. They're just two little peas in the pod.
Oh, that's really funny. This also makes me think of when we read Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat.
Yeah.
This is also related to Thanksgiving. And in the book, Samin talks about how, like, when she originally had like, went to a friend's house or something for a Thanksgiving dinner and was like, wow, all of the food just like tastes the same. It was during the acid chapter where she was basically saying, like, the standard American Thanksgiving needs more punchiness to it.
Yeah.
You need to add some acid. It's why everybody loves the cranberry sauce. Well,
Totally.
why I think, I mean, maybe some people don't like it, right? But it's like why the cranberry sauce really hits on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving because everything else is like kind of bland and we have mushy textures and those kinds of things. So that just makes me think about this like a meal plan isn't enjoyable to follow and thinking about like, okay, well, how can you add some like punchiness into maybe like into your recipes? Like if you're like, cool, I just need like the meal plan needs to be simple. So, like, we're planning the same recipes that I know, but, like, maybe it's, like, leveling up the cooking skills a little
Yeah.
bit to be like, how do we add some zing? How do we, like, make this recipe itself more interesting so that I'm, like, excited to eat it instead of just like, "Okay, we're having mashed potatoes and gravy again."
That's such a good point, and I have to share this with you too. I know this is I'm getting a little bit rabbit traily over here, but last night I had made so somebody had made us curry. My niece had made curry, gave it to us. I'd put it in the freezer. So that's what we had last night for dinner. Made some rice to go with it, and while I was heating it up, I was like, I tasted it, and I was like, well, that's really good. But she had told me it was a little spicy for my kids. And it was a little spicy for them. But so I was like, I'm going to make a little yogurt sauce to go with it. So I followed the yogurt recipe from the carrot and turkey meatball
Oh,
thing that you
yeah,
and I love.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
But instead of doing lemon juice, I did lime juice.
Oh,
So lime and salt and Greek yogurt. And I mixed it all together. It was so good. Like, I thought it was
mm,
so good. It was a
yeah,
perfect topping to the curry. Like,
yeah,
just like that spicy curry with a little bit of like cold zestiness of the
mm.
lime. And so, but I put it on the side of my kid's plate because I didn't know if they would want it on top. So my daughter just starts eating the yogurt by itself and she goes, "Whoo, that is punchy. That is punchy, Mom. That is punchy." And I kept telling her, eat the yogurt on the food. It
It's
goes with the food. She, and she's like,
Wow.
"Whoo, punchy." And I have never heard her say that. And I wonder if she got it from you. Because you just were saying this, you need some punchiness, you need some acid. And yeah, she kept saying it last night. It was so funny.
that is hilarious. I don't know if I've ever said that around her, but I like it.
I don't know, I loved it. Ooh,
As
punchy. That
ooh,
is punchy.
punchy.
I'm like, stop eating it by itself and put it with the Hmm. I never know exactly what they're gonna like, and so I just do a lot of things, like, in pieces, right? Like, it doesn't have to
Sure.
go on top of each other,
Right.
and so I should have just put it right on top. It is punchy.
Oh, wow. Okay. Our next myth is meal planning's only for organized people.
Well, you can start meal planning and be an organized person.
Yeah, I would say meal planning might be easier for somebody who's naturally more organized, but I think
Totally.
anybody can be a meal planner. And really, the first thing to do is just get started. We talked about
Yeah.
this a few episodes ago of like just getting started, your first few weeks of meal planning, and really, it is just getting started. And you're gonna make mistakes, and things aren't gonna go the way that you thought they were going to, but it's gonna be fine because
Yeah,
you're
and you
gonna
refine it
learn
over time, yeah.
and you're gonna get better. Like your first meal plans are definitely not gonna be amazing. And but, like, you also might find that you have a knack for it that you didn't realize. You might not be good at organizing your bookshelf, right? But, like, maybe you're good at making meal plans and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah. When I think of people who I know who would classify themselves as a disorganized person, I immediately think that something like a tool, like use a tool, like give yourself a crutch. That is there's no shame in that. To
Yeah.
give yourself a tool to make something easier because you're not good at it. People who come to Plan to Eat are often people who are organized. They love the organization that Plan to Eat offers. But they also are people who are meal planning with pen and paper. And I think of people who I know are who would classify themselves as disorganized and starting with like a paper plan, like it's going to be really hard,
Yeah.
or they're going to do it and it's really not going to go well. And so they're going to probably not continue it. But planning with Plan to Eat is like pen and paper planning, just way better.
Mhm.
It takes away all the hard parts.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like forgetting your list. There's no forgetting your list. Okay, how many disorganized people, myself included, who leave their list at home?
Right.
Okay, it's already on your phone. Your list is made. Getting every ingredient you actually need onto said paper list is so hard.
Yeah.
So hard. But because all your recipes are on your meal plan and then Plan to Eat populates your grocery list for you, you don't have to do that. It's already
Yep.
done for you. It's like, again, the organized piece, like Plan to Eat provides the organization. It classifies your recipes for you in a recipe book in different categories, organized for you.
Right.
So all you have to do is search. If you can't find it, go search for it with whatever you can think of.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like if the pieces of paper planning aren't working for you, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Find a crutch. And I actually don't think Plan to Eat is a crutch of meal planning. I do think it's I wouldn't say crutch, maybe say partner. It's more of a partner. It's taking out all those hard parts, all the parts that are so frustrating. The list, forgetting your list at home, forgetting something on your list, forgetting to meal plan for a whole night of the week. All those pieces are done for you.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about that, like, I'm gonna call old school style of meal planning of pen and paper, where you're, like, in your kitchen, you're like, "Okay, what meals should we have this week? Okay, cool, we're gonna have, like, these tacos, and we'll make a slaw." You're, like, trying to write down the ingredients that you, like, remember from that recipe, and then maybe you think of another recipe, "Okay, we'll have, like, spaghetti and meatballs," and you write down the ingredients that you have from that recipe, and then you're like, I'm kinda out of ideas. I'm gonna go to Pinterest or Instagram and find a recipe. And then you're, like, trying to write down the ingredients that you need from the recipe
Yeah.
from your phone, but then you also are like, "How am I gonna save this recipe so that I know exactly so I know which ingredients are supposed to go in it and how I'm actually, like, gonna cook it?" And, like, oh my gosh, no wonder people
Yeah.
don't want a meal plan. That sounds so
It's
horrible.
horrible. Well, I mean, either you have 150 tabs open on your phone at any given moment,
Yeah.
or 3,000 bookmarks on your browser, or you have a Pinterest board that is, I mean, I like Pinterest. This is not me knocking Pinterest, but like a recipe in the abyss of my Pinterest. It's really difficult to find
Yeah,
it.
and you're, like, scrolling through, and you're like, "Well, the last time I saw it was on the left-hand side, and it was about
Yeah.
17 rows down,
Yeah, yeah. No,
but
I
how many
think the
recipes have I added
cover was
since
in
then?"
blue. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And that's just really not a sustainable practice and just adds to the mental fatigue, uh, that's just unnecessary.
yeah, I think no matter who you are, you can be a meal planner.
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to be an organized person, but you can partner with an organized company.
Ooh, there you go. Love
Yeah,
it.
All right, the next myth is I don't need to meal plan.
Right. Just like you don't need to make a budget, but you run out of money every month.
Okay, I'm going to give a little caveat. You might be a very special and unique individual who does not need to meal plan. There are people like you out there. If you're listening to this, which I bet you're
Yeah.
not because you wouldn't be listening to our show. But maybe there are some outliers. I'll give that, right? Like I'll give that out there. But in general, I feel like most people, if you are considering what you're going to have for dinner, if you are buying groceries at the grocery store to eat said dinner, you're a meal planner.
Absolutely.
If you eat, you're a meal planner. Yeah. If you go through the drive-through to eat your dinner every night, you're a meal planner.
Yeah. The 5:30 PM scramble, that's a kind of a meal plan. The after work drive-through or takeout, that's a meal plan. But the
Yeah.
problem with those meal plans is that you're doing all of the work in the moment and it's really stressful.
Yeah.
It's like the time when you're already kind of hungry and the life is chaotic. If you have children, you know that that's the time of the day when they go crazy and they
Yep.
want snacks and
Mhm.
they want your attention and all of the things. And so it just ends up being a way more stressful experience than it needs to be. So instead, if you front load the work a little bit and you already have a plan for what you're going to eat for dinner, well, then you can just hop in the kitchen and get started cooking
Yeah.
rather than being like, what's this like run around rigmarole? What do we have? Where is it? What can I make with it? What does everybody even want? You eliminate all of those silly questions.
Yeah. It's not that I don't need a meal plan, it's I need to meal plan better.
Right.
And that's the fact. It's not a myth. That's the truth, right? Yeah, yeah. If you're not happy with the way you're currently eating, you need a meal plan. If you're not happy with the way you're currently meal planning, because like we just said, everybody's actually meal planning. We just don't
Yeah.
call it that. Yeah, you do need a meal plan. You need a meal plan better.
Yeah.
And that
Absolutely.
includes things like getting the groceries you actually need to go with recipes you actually like, to go on nights of the week where you can actually cook them.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this. Like, I'm not going to pick to make beef Wellington when I get home at 7 o'clock from work or after soccer practice, you know?
Right.
Like, that's not the night for that.
Yeah. And, maybe this is more correlated with the winging it is easier than planning, right? Like initially, I wasn't necessarily thinking these were related, but I do think it's
Yeah.
kind of related because I think it's still, again, this situation of like, you don't know what you don't know.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
think you don't need a meal plan, you don't know. You don't know what the other side of the coin is
Yeah.
like. The other side of the coin's great. You should try it.
Yeah. Come over to our side. We love it. We're happy here. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's a million things we could compare this to, but like I think about people who are active versus people who aren't active. Like,
Hmm.
and like once you get over that hump, like you do genuinely feel better.
Yeah.
It's like, but you don't know you're gonna feel better until you get over that, like the hurdle of actually doing the thing, the hurdle of starting, because that's not easy and that's
Right.
sore. You're sore. You don't feel good. But once you're past that, you just are. You feel better. You don't realize you're
Absolutely.
gonna feel better until you do it. It's the same concept here. It's like what you're doing right now seems to be working because it's your current habit. But your
Yeah.
habit could be so much more refined.
Yeah.
And once you refine it, oh man, it's so much better.
I'm actually wondering how many people get started meal planning just because somebody referred them to a meal planning app or, you talk to your friend and you're like, God, you seem like you always have it together. Like,
Yeah.
what's your secret? And the person's like, well, I just like write down my recipes that I'm gonna eat for the week. It's like really helps a lot. And then like they get started meal planning, not because they're thinking about all of the benefits that they're gonna have. And then like 2 months later, they're like, wow, why does my life feel so much easier?
Yeah. 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 I've talked about this before. It's been a thing that we've talked about within the ethos of Plan to Eat. It's like people start meal planning usually because there's like a pivotal thing in their life that changes.
Right.
And that could be that they have hit a wall with their budget.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like I'm trying to come, because there's other ones that are easy to think of, like you get married. And if you're the person who's like cooking for your spouse, doesn't matter which one of you is doing the cooking, one of you is doing the cooking and shopping, right? If you have a kid, if suddenly like just your life circumstances matter with meal planning, like they can really be greatly affected by it. But there are other circumstances like like I said, budgeting. You come face to face with the fact that your budget is losing to the grocery store.
Yeah.
You are failing at the grocery store. And maybe you came to Plan to Eat because of you need a budget. We have a ton of you need a budget customers. And you're looking at where your dollars are going to go. And you're like, they can't all go here.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. And
Mhm.
meal planning, then the benefit of that is budget, but then the overflow of that is less stress. You know what you're eating. You have all the ingredients. You don't have to go back to the store. So your budget's even more saved. Like less fatigue, like all these things that are real benefits of meal planning. I'm trying to think of another circumstance, like maybe like health circumstances is another one. Like whether you are suddenly faced with a dietary change, like, oh no, you can't eat dairy. Okay, what do we do? Because you can't wing that. You've got to figure out what you're going to eat.
Mhm.
Uh, maybe your child has to have a dairy or has a dietary thing. Maybe you're trying to lose weight or gain weight. And suddenly you have to care about what you put into your body. Any of those reasons, like, would be a pivotal thing that gets you to start meal planning.
Mhm. Yep. I think people come to meal planning because they have these life circumstances a lot of the times. They have life circumstances that draw them to, like, being more organized or being a more habit-oriented person. But I think that they stay with meal planning because of the other benefits that they
Yeah.
have, right? Like, you come for this core thing that you're the main problem you're trying to solve, and then you stay, you continue to meal plan because you're like, "Oh, I see all these other benefits in my life, like, I'm saving time, I'm saving money, we're wasting so much less food, like, everybody's generally more happy with what we're having for dinner. I'm no longer scrambling at 5:30." So it's like you come for the one thing, you stay for the other benefits.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a good point. Which kind of rolls into our next one, which is a meal plan won't help me lower my grocery costs.
Yeah, well, this is super patently false. We have data to say that this is false, actually.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing here is that when you're overspending on your groceries, a lot of times it's because you're buying things at random. And so when you meal plan and you create a shopping list from your meal plan, you're buying things with a purpose. Everything that you put in your groceries cart can have a purpose to it. Certainly, you could buy things outside of what's on your grocery list. I often do the
Yeah.
extra bag of chips or cookies or, the blueberries that are on sale. Those often end up in the cart. But in general, for me, I found that it's only like one or two things end up in the grocery cart that were not planned. And
Totally.
everything else specifically goes into a recipe or is specific to a meal, right? Like you
Yeah.
and I have talked about that we don't necessarily plan recipes for all of our meals. So, like, this is a specific thing for breakfast foods. This is a specific thing for lunch foods. It has a purpose. I know what I'm going to do with it. And you talked about this a little bit on our last episode where you're like, when you go to the grocery store and you buy things and you don't know what's gonna happen with them, you're just taking money from the grocery store and throwing it in the trash can.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do when you go grocery shopping without a plan is the bag of spring mix that ends up in the back of the refrigerator that
Hmm.
literally you never even opened. That's just wasted money. And
Yeah.
so when you eliminate those things from your purchasing, all of a sudden your grocery costs are way less. And
Yeah.
you can more easily plan ahead for this idea of, like, if you do a zero-based budgeting like YNAB, you can more easily plan ahead for, like, okay, we're only spending $600 this month at the grocery store. Like, how
Yeah.
are we gonna make that happen? Because that's what our budget needs.
Yeah. It's a great way to put it. I was going to say something similar is like, just like you give every dollar a job, you give every ingredient a job. Um,
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I like that.
quote me.
Yeah.
Like when you give every like so I think I'm thinking about two different ways to do this, right? Like I've said on the show, like I will make my grocery list in the like grocery store app so I can see my total as I go. And if I see that total getting to be a number I don't like,
Yeah.
I go through it and I'm like, well, what can I cut? What can I swap? Do I have this protein in the freezer already? I'm going to go scour my freezer. Okay, do I have the bag of Asian veggies that I could use instead of all these fresh ones to just save a
Mhm.
few dollars at the grocery store? Okay, if you shop in the store, you can also have some benefits there too because you can see things that, like inside of my app, I can't see that ground chicken is buy one, get one free this week. So
Right.
if you're in the store and you notice, like, okay, well, this is on sale. or this is buy one, get one free. Well, you're definitely going to want to do those buy one, get one frees, put them in the freezer, especially when things like aren't going to go bad. And then you can use those to piggyback them for the next week's groceries. Like these are like it, but meal planning allows you to do those kinds of things because then you know, okay, I've got this ground chicken because last week it was buy one, get one free. I've got it in the freezer. I'm going to plan around this
Mhm.
instead of putting it in your freezer and then it living there for
Yeah.
3 years, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I and if something you're making is too expensive, because groceries are expensive, but you can fight the grocery costs by meal plan,
Yeah.
by saying, okay, we're actually going to have like some kind, like we're going to have a different meal this week, a lower cost meal this week. We're going to use everything we have in the freezer or fridge this week. You and I have talked about this when we plan from our pantries, from things that we have that we maybe never used or bought because they were buy one, get one free, or bought because they were on sale or somebody gave us, or whatever the reason. Like when we plan from our pantries or freezers, like we save so much money at the grocery store. But if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to save that much money. If we didn't meal plan with those ingredients, we wouldn't be able to save that much money.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about, one of the dinner dilemmas that we had on one of the episodes recently where the person said that they, would prep a bunch of food at the
Mm,
beginning of the week, like, in hopes that they would,
yeah.
end up using it kinda thing, and it makes me think about this idea of, like, when you go to the grocery store without a plan, you're doing the, like, aspirational grocery
Yeah.
shopping where you're like,
Yeah.
"I wanna eat more vegetables," or, like, "I wanna eat more protein," or, "I wanna eat more fiber," or whatever the, like,
Yeah.
hot thing is in
Hmm.
TikTok right now, you know? And so it's like you go and you buy the zucchini and the broccoli and the asparagus, but you don't know what you're gonna use any of those things, and you're doing this, like, aspirational version of yourself, and and then you would come home and you're like, "I don't know how to cook any of these things," or like, "None of these things sound like what I want," or, like,
Yeah.
you just have no idea what you're gonna do with those things, so it's like I feel like when you go without a plan, you often end up being that, like, aspirational version of yourself when you
Yeah. That's
buy the things.
such a good point. I'll be honest, I was very aspirational last week and I bought a spaghetti squash with no plan.
Ooh, yeah,
I did this. I did this thing. I thought, man, I haven't had a spaghetti squash in a while. Let me toss this into my cart. I didn't toss it. I had laid it in my cart. But I didn't have anything to use it for.
right.
And it's kind of the idea like, oh, I love to eat spaghetti squash. What am I going to eat it with? What am I going to do with it? And then it lived there on my counter until I figured out what I was going to use it for. But if I had done it in the opposite direction, like it was a risk of going to waste, right?
Sure.
Because I bought it with no purpose. I mean, every day I saw it. Oh, I can't wait to eat that. Oh, I love spaghetti squash. Oh, I can't wait to make that until I gave it a job.
Yeah.
And as soon as I gave it a job, it got cooked and eaten and it was delicious.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one because squash at least can sit
It
around for a
can,
little
yeah.
while. I've
Yeah.
definitely aspirationally bought butternut squash multiple times and then finally been like, "Okay, it's been here for 3 weeks. I need to figure this out."
Yeah. It is going to be cooked today. Yeah. I think especially people are like, we need to have some vegetables in this house.
Yeah.
Um, it would be so fascinating to, if you don't think you waste a lot of money on groceries, it'd be a curious test to start because like when you throw away a $1 cucumber,
Right.
you're like, it was just a dollar. Okay, but when you do that 50 times a year,
Yeah.
$50 of cucumbers.
Right.
Or if you do that with the $3 spring mix, a $5 spring mix, pick a thing. You're literally you should start keeping a log on your fridge. Like, well, we tossed this, that's $2. We tossed this, it's 7. I actually, this is odd, but I actually get so much joy using up an ingredient altogether and throwing away a container
Oh, yeah.
empty. Doesn't that feel so good?
It feels amazing. Or like
Right, because you're not wasting it.
you use all of the cilantro and you're only throwing
Oh,
away the stems. You're like,
yeah.
"Yes, I won
Yes.
this week. I did it."
Yes. Yeah. I used an entire container of feta yesterday. Like I finished the
Yeah.
feta yesterday. I was like, I'm so proud of myself. It got used in recipes. I wasn't just like having all these salads to try to use up the feta. Like I actually like it got used. But that really does feel so good to like not waste stuff, but just keeping track because it really does start to add up. And having every ingredient have a job will help you lower your grocery costs. It just will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really will. All right, final myth we're gonna talk about today is a handwritten grocery list is serving me well.
Oh, we already touched on this, man.
We really did. Yeah.
Yeah, a handwritten grocery list is not likely serving you super well.
No.
And by handwritten, we are not talking about the Notes app on your phone.
Although that's not great either because
It's not great either.
as I
No.
gave my scenario earlier, you're
Yeah.
still in that same predicament of trying to get all the things on the list
Yes.
and remember the recipes and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say you have 4 main dinner recipes on your meal plan, and all of those have 6 to 7 ingredients each, on the minimum,
Yeah.
right? And then you have 3 sides, because one of those meals doesn't need a side. 3 of them need sides. Those have ingredients.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, we also eat lunch and breakfast, and I've got children who eat snacks, like, and I
Yep.
eat snacks, and I want dessert. Your grocery, like, think about how long that list gets,
Yeah. Well, and I'm just also thinking like, even if you're using the Notes app on your phone, how are you coordinating with the other people in your household? You
You're
know,
not.
like you're not. And so then what are you like calling them or texting them when you're at the grocery store being like, is there anything I didn't put on the list that needs to
Yeah.
get on the list? And they're at work and they're like, I don't know. Like maybe if I was at the house, I could tell you, but like, I don't remember. Maybe we need milk or something. Like it's just such an inefficient process. Whereas like y'all share the same Plan to Eat account. And when you run out of something, you can just go put it in the app. That's so much easier.
If my people in my home say, hey, mom, I need blank, it immediately goes on my list,
Oh, yeah.
on my Plan to Eat running list for the week. And that is from soap to trash bags to baking powder. Like, pick a category that you purchase at the grocery store and or other store near grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on the list.
Yeah. And if it doesn't go on the list, I'm definitely not buying it
I'm
because it's
definitely not
gone
buying
from
it.
my brain in 5
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. And I'll stand there in the store and I'm like, oh, there was something. Oh, there was something. What was it? And then I don't remember. I mean, if it's rubber bands, I'm never going to remember that.
No.
Like,
Mm-mm.
it's going to have to be written down.
Yeah.
But I cannot tell you how often I leave a list at home.
Yeah.
If I make a little, like, if I make a Post-it note list because that was what I had in my hand at the moment that I needed to make the list, it gets left at home.
Oh, yeah. I made a list last week for Target, even though I have a Target store in my Plan to Eat. I don't know why I put it on a sticky note, but I did. It was like half Target list, half to-do list.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
I'm totally with you. Yeah.
and then
We
I
all do it.
totally yeah, and then I totally left it on my desk, stuck to my desk. And I got in the car and was 20 minutes away from home and I was like, "Oh no."
Yep. And you don't go back when you live that far from the
You
store.
don't go back. I mean, even if I was only 5 minutes away from my house, there's very few times I'm actually gonna go back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not worth it. Yeah. We cannot move on from this one without talking about the quantities
Oh, for
because,
sure. Ooh, yeah.
like, so if you don't use Plan to Eat takes all your 5 recipes and says 3 of them need an onion, which means we need 3 onions. Or if we don't need 3 onions, we need 2 onions because this one only takes a half an onion and this one takes 1 and that one takes a half. And it
Yeah.
adds them together. And it looks at all your recipes and says, these 5 need Italian seasoning. We need 5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. And you go in your pantry and you have 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Okay, I need to
Yeah.
buy that. So it adds everything to your list. You are in charge of taking off what you don't need. But that is it's a huge difference because technology is so cool than me making a handwritten grocery list of all those recipes because I'm going to have to sit there and be like, okay, so if this one calls, I have to do that for every ingredient, all 50 ingredients. I have to say, well, I don't just need 1 cup of milk. I need 7. I need 6 cups of milk for these recipes. Plus, we're going to have milk for breakfast, which means I probably need 2 gallons of milk for the
Yeah.
week. I don't know. All of that headache of, I mean, I don't like math in general, but like just the headache and the time spent totaling your ingredients, making sure you are buying enough in the store, and then in the store, panic buying more because you don't know how much you actually need or buying not enough. And then you get home and you're like, well, I needed 2 cans and I only bought 1.
Yeah.
All of that is eliminated with the Plan to Eat grocery list. And that is, if that's not a selling point for Plan to Eat, I don't know that I'll ever sell you on Plan to Eat.
Yeah.
It is my number 1 favorite feature.
Oh, but wait, Riley and her family are coming over for dinner on Thursday night. So I'm
Yes.
going to increase the serving size I'm going to double the serving sizes of this recipe. So if you're doing that by hand, then you have to make sure that you double everything that you wrote down for that recipe. But do you even remember which items you put on your list for that recipe? And are you sure you're going to buy all the right amounts? Well, With Plantee, you just double the recipe and it changes everything on your shopping list so you don't even have to worry about it. It tells you you need 2 boxes of pasta.
Yep. It's a dream.
It's a dream. Man, the grocery list, the shopping list. It's just
It's
the
a
best.
dream. Yeah, it's a dream. It does it for anything. If you add something to your list manually, it groups them together. So, okay, let's talk about that too, because not only does it give quantity, it also groups things together. Think about when you're making your psychotic handwritten grocery list and you're like, what? It is. Have you seen me take notes? They're crazy. Look, they're sideways and added onto the corners. And I'm like, okay, we need Italian sausage, then we need onion, then we need canned goods, then we need spices. Okay, now repeat that over and over and over down a list, which means you're going meat section, dairy section, canned goods section. Pick another section and you're not getting everything you need. Then you're zigzagging all over the
Ugh.
grocery store. You're not getting everything you need in a concise way. You're like bing bong all over the grocery store. And then it never fails. Like, have you ever crossed off 5 things and you're like, oh, I didn't even see that one wasn't
Oh,
crossed
yeah.
off? That's what I'm talking about. It's crazy. Don't do it.
Okay, I will sometimes, if I have to zigzag, if I have to backtrack across the entire grocery store, sometimes I'll be like, it's lost. I'm not gonna do it.
It's
It's
not
just
worth it.
this it's not worth it. I'm not gonna go get that one item.
Yet let's hope I've got a substitute at home. So
Sorry, we didn't need toothpaste that bad, I guess. I didn't get toothpaste on the way in. It's not gonna happen.
it's a good thing you added a handwritten grocery list to is serving me well to the list last because I feel like I'm the most passionate about this one. It is the myth I was excited to bust the most.
I really like psychotic as a descriptor for a handwritten list. It's amazing.
I mean, it is. Like, it's probably the best word to describe it.
Oh, funny. All right. Well, hopefully we've convinced you that you need to be a meal planner and that all of these things that you're believing, well, maybe you're not believing, all these things that people, that the royal we think about meal planning are just
Yeah,
not true.
You're not believing these lies.
You're not believing these. No.
No, not you.
You're our people.
Yeah. It's the
But
other
now you
people.
got some great ammo for the Thanksgiving dinner when
Yeah.
somebody's like, who needs to meal plan? You're like, let me tell you what, you need a meal plan.
Yeah. And here's this podcast episode. Share with your friends.
Yeah. All right, now we're just getting silly. Okay,
Yeah, we are.
let's go to on some dinner dilemmas. All right. Okay. Lisa says, I cook for 3 people with a variety of diametrically opposed food preferences and allergies. Love that phrase. One loves meat, hates vegetables, and has no allergies. One is vegetarian with several food allergies. I love almost all foods, but have dairy intolerance. I love to cook, but sometimes end up making 2 meals to accommodate everyone. Not only does this take more time, but makes more dirty dishes, not to mention adding to food costs. I need ideas for meals that can be customized other than tacos and rice bowls.
Which, I mean, we're guilty of giving those as ideas, right?
I
We
feel
are.
called out. I feel
I'm
called out
called
about the
out,
rice
yeah.
bowl.
Well, one, this is tough.
This is tough.
This is a lot of things you're navigating at the same time. My first thought is like 3 or 4 dinner dilemmas ago, I said, stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You remember it was like, we talked about this just a little bit ago in the episode, but like you're making all this meal prep, but you're not knowing, he doesn't have a job. It's just
Right.
sitting in your fridge. It's like aspirational meal prepping, right? I think you need to meal prep because I think that would probably serve your family well. So you are meal prepping a ton of veg to either be cooked like as meal prep or prepped so it's easier when you do go to cook it. I'm thinking that covers several of these people. You're meal prepping, whatever that means. Maybe you're you're grilling a ton of hamburgers for the week and you're roasting a bunch of vegetables. Maybe you make sourdough. I bet you don't because you've got a lot going on at your house right now. You might. But prepping a lot of things and then using those prep things to piece together meals. Instead of creating 2 meals, you've meal prepped things and then maybe you make one thing to go with whatever you're having for dinner. So you've got all these meal prepped. You've got meal prepped meat for the person who loves meat. You've got meal prepped vegetables for the person who's only a vegetarian. And then you make another side dish and everyone kind of comes to the table. It's a bunch of sides it's not just like you're not making a single main because
Mhm.
making a single main to serve all of these different needs is going to be pretty tricky. So I would say meal prepping to serve the different people, it's going to make your week a little less stressful. And then doing dinners that are, I have suggested this to somebody else too, but protein, starch, vegetable.
Yeah.
And that's the way you organize your meal plan. And then everyone gets to pick their pieces.
Right. That was basically what I was gonna say too, is you do the the plate assembly thing, and then, maybe to make things interesting, you have, like, a sauce that you know that everybody
Yeah, that's
likes,
great. Yeah.
or, yeah, some type of, like, a sauce that could double as a dressing. If the person who's a vegetarian really likes to eat salads,
Yeah.
the sauce could be the dressing on their salad or something while you and the other person have more of, like, a meat plus vegetables as a side kind of a thing. I can't really think of any other assembly types of situations besides tacos and rice bowls, like, because Lisa, who wrote this in, has a dairy intolerance, it can't be like, "Well, you could have pizza night." Like,
Yeah.
that gets hard when you have a dairy intolerance. Let's be honest, dairy-free cheese is iffy at
It's a little,
best.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the kind that's supposed to be melty,
Yeah. Yeah. But
so
I'm thinking like adding maybe fruit to every meal. Like the
mhm.
person who loves meat but hates vegetables likely will eat that.
Yeah, true.
So you have a big fruit side with all of these dinners, and um, maybe you have like you make different types of breads or like those kinds of things. Like a pasta salad is going to serve the vegetarian, and you can make them dairy free, no problem. And then your
Right.
person who loves meat but hates vegetables like might be into a pasta salad.
Mhm.
But coming up with like you said, sauces is great. And I think honestly, I think just prepping a ton of stuff with a purpose, planning them with a purpose is going to be really helpful.
Yeah. There's a part of me that thinks that, like, maybe the vegetarian aspect is maybe part of the base for a lot of
Yeah,
these
that's
meals,
great.
because I
Yeah.
think a lot of times it's easy to make, like, a pasta dish or, like, a hash or something,
Hmm.
and then it's easy to have, like, either meat on the side, or you just, like, put meat on the top or something to serve everybody else, but it's
Yeah.
a lot harder to take meat out of something for the
Yeah.
vegetarian. This is also a place where breakfast for dinner really serves everybody well, I think.
Yeah. Pretty well.
And I don't
Everyone
think,
might
like, when I'm
possible.
thinking about the vegetarian part of it, I'm not necessarily thinking that it needs to be, like, a bed of vegetables,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I said, like, it could be, like, a pasta,
Yeah.
like a pasta that's already done up, and, like, maybe there are some vegetables in with the pasta, but it's not, like, the main thing, or, like, a potato bake or, like, a frittata or something maybe, and then, like, meat is easy to
Hmm.
add on top of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Some vegetarians eat eggs, correct?
Vegetarians, I think, typically eat eggs. They just
They
don't eat
just
the
don't
meat,
eat meat. Yeah.
but they will eat dairy products, I believe, and eggs.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to think of some more ideas. Looking up recipes within the paleo family
Mm,
might be helpful. Because that would, if you want to make a dinner for everyone, paleo is going to cover vegetarian and the dairy intolerance.
right.
Paleo eats meat, but like you could remove, if you're, as long as the meat is something you can
Put on
choose
the
or not
side.
choose.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it might give you some great side dishes.
If everybody eat beans, like, center some of your meals, like, around that, because there's also protein in
Yeah.
beans, so, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one. You're definitely up against some issues with this, but I think this is why meal planning is important, because imagine if she wasn't planning ahead to
Totally.
do
Yeah.
these things. It would be
Absolutely.
super hard.
Yeah. I- I'm I'm thinking right now about the one who loves meat but hates vegetables. Um, and I know people who hate vegetables, but they are still staple vegetables they eat. And I don't know this to be totally true, but like I'm thinking about the person in my mind who hates vegetables. They still eat potatoes and green beans.
Yeah, right.
And so like potatoes can be a really great base. Like I mean, potatoes go into the tacos and rice bowls category, so I hope this person isn't like rolling their eyes at me, but like that can be such a great base. You mentioned hash, like sweet
Mhm.
potato hash, and then just the topping options are varied from person to person. We're having baked potatoes.
Yeah,
You can put these 6 things on it.
right.
You can have 3 of them, you can have 2 of them, and you can have 5 of them, 7, 6 of them. but you just kind of pick and choose the things that go on them for you. Either things like that, instead of making 2 dinners, come up with things. I mean, I know other than tacos and rice bowls, the reason why that becomes a very common thing for us to pitch is because you made one dinner and people
Yeah.
pick what goes on their plate.
Right.
And so, but like coming up with different things as the base. Maybe quinoa is our base. A quinoa salad is our base. A pasta salad is our base. And then you can pick to have this or not. It's why the idea of tacos and rice bowls is common for us
Yep.
because it eliminates a workload. But like, and rice bowls can be flavored in 100 ways. But breakfast for dinner is another really good option.
Yep. All right. Lori says family members either don't like or are allergic to the most common seasonings in meals, i.e., onions, pepper, garlic, and anything spicy. We don't know anything about Lori's situation,
No.
but potentially, like one of the people that we answered their question last time, like potentially this is just a season, right? Like
Yeah.
if the family members that, I mean, being allergic to things is different, right? But the issue is just like, well, we don't like anything spicy, that could change as people, as like small palates change
Mm.
and, mature. So hopefully this is just something maybe you're navigating for a season.
Yeah.
So my sister-in-law, she's probably listening. Uh, she has an allergy to onions and garlic, anything. She's like kind of like low FODMAP
Mm-hmm.
situation. And so we had them over for lunch a few weeks ago, and I was trying to be sensitive to the things that she could eat. And so
Mm-hmm.
we had tacos, which, this doesn't always help everybody, but it's an easy thing to like please a crowd, I think. And so I made like a cabbage slaw to go on top of the tacos. And normally I would put maybe like green onions in there and garlic. And, I didn't do that. All I did was cabbage, cilantro, olive oil, lime, and then salt.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's ways to still make, and it was delicious, right? Like I feel like there's still ways to make delicious food without what we would consider like common seasonings
Yep.
and just like getting outside of the box a little bit. Like there's a part of me that feels like it's almost like related to like the beginning that we're talking about the punchy,
Yeah. Yeah.
like there might be some basics of cooking that could actually really help, like this salt, fat, acid, heat
Yeah.
idea.
Absolutely.
Like you
Yeah.
can still make really delicious food with just like really basic things. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times the food is missing either the salt piece or the acid
Mm-hmm.
piece to make it really tasty. And you don't necessarily need what we would consider as common flavors in order to make it tasty.
Yeah. Yeah. I think these are actually avoidable
Yeah.
with salt.
Right.
Um, Salt, an Italian seasoning blend that does not have garlic in it, I think is pretty easy to find.
I
You
agreed. Yeah.
might have to work harder for an onion-free one because sometimes they put onion flakes, but maybe
Mm,
not. I have been doing a little research in the background because I wanted to come up with some real things that could help. But see, like herbs, if you don't have them at home, grow an herb garden. If not, buy them dried. It's no big deal.
yeah.
Dill and salt, cilantro and lime, parsley and salt. I'm thinking like um,
Basil.
basil, thyme, rosemary, oregano, like all of those things add a ton of flavor, brightness to foods that don't fall into that list.
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of recipes that if I eliminated the onion, I don't know that I would be bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it might add a little bit more depth of flavor, but if you are feeding people, we don't know anything about this person's situation, but I'm thinking about like my children are never going to be like, Mom, this does not have enough depth.
Yeah. It's
Well,
not
lift out the
punchy.
onion because it's not
Not
punchy.
punchy
Yeah.
enough, Mom.
Yeah. um, if you are allergic to an onion, sometimes people are capable of eating, oh shoot, it totally left me. Chives.
Oh, right.
Like the onion bulb is sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the problem, but chives may not be the problem. So looking at chives, things like ginger,
Mm-hmm.
fennel, those bring a lot of flavor to meals and don't fall into this category. Nutritional yeast can sometimes add a lot. It's a dairy-free sub all the time because it adds a cheesy, savory flavor that
Mm-hmm.
it could fill in. some of that depth of flavor you might be missing.
Yeah,
Soy
soy
sauce.
sauce.
Yeah. Yes,
Jinx.
apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, lime juice, ginger juice. You can buy ginger juice just straight up.
Yeah.
And if garlic, I mean, garlic is a tricky one. I feel like I measure garlic with my heart and I use a lot of garlic, but I feel like it's possible to come up with, I
I
mean,
don't think
sometimes
you're gonna
salt and
come up with
pepper.
a
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna come up with the same. I
No,
think
no.
garlic is just
Yeah.
one that you're just well, we just don't when we make our Sopa Toscana or whatever,
Yeah.
it just doesn't have garlic in it. Maybe
It
we
just
put
doesn't.
a bay leaf in it instead while it's
Yeah.
cooking, and it gives
Yeah.
it a little bit of a different flavor. I was gonna say related to your like sometimes the garlic bulb is the issue. So
Yeah.
for my
Or
sister-in-law,
onion bulb.
onion bulb, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
onion bulb. So for low FODMAP, my sister-in-law told me that she can have some of the dried version.
Oh,
So she
cool.
can have some onion powder and some garlic powder. So
Okay.
there's an element of it that's like maybe you could I understand if people don't necessarily like it, but also if you're dealing with allergies, you don't want to go heavy on a seasoning that somebody's allergic to
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
But like there's an element of it that's like if that's part of the issue, maybe doing a little research, you could find out that
Hmm.
like, oh, we could have the powdered version of this where instead of just having like actual diced onion in the recipe.
Yeah. And I think about kids who look at something inside of like, oh, this has something green in it. I will
Yeah.
not eat. Like I think about how many kids are anti-green, right?
Yes.
For whatever reason. But using okay, if they saw an onion piece, if their issue is that they don't like it, not the allergy, and they see the onion hunk and they're like, no way. Using onion powder is invisible. It
Exactly.
just dissolves inside of the recipe. So that might work. But I would say this is overcomable with just broadening your spice. Like you said, your cooking skills might need to be broadened just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like reading a book like Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat to help you say, okay, well, we can't have garlic, but we could add blank. Like
Yeah.
maybe this recipe is cumin. We can't add garlic, but cumin is going to fill in that gap. And not forgetting that sometimes if something is lacking flavor, it might just need salt or a little bit of acid, like we talked about. But I think expanding your herbs, expanding your seasonings, you're going to be able to have really great tasting food without these things.
Totally. Yep. I think just doing a little experimenting is
Yeah.
probably key here.
Yeah.
And
And
looking
just
into
leaving it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
leaving things out and maybe looking into the low FODMAP
Yeah.
and like finding people who write recipes for low FODMAP because I
Totally.
know those don't include onion and garlic. So,
Yeah. I would say also just have like a kind of a blatant, like overarching thing is like leave something out and then taste it. Okay.
yeah.
Well, we can't have the onion, so we can't go back and add the onion, but it feels like it needs something. Okay, what can we add that's not in these? Like, what can we add to this? Like you said, does it need a bay leaf? Does it just need a little extra salt to give it a little
Mhm.
bit more flavorfulness? Like, but like cook it without the thing. Like add a test drive.
Mhm.
Cook it without the thing you can't have.
Mhm.
Follow a regular recipe. Cook it without the things you can't have. Taste and add and taste and add.
Yeah. Or if like a recipe, right, the start of a lot of recipes is like saute your onion.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could do a like some celery stalks, right? Like dice
Totally.
some
Yeah.
celery instead. And just like it's going to taste a little bit different, but it's still this like same idea of like you're sauteing something, getting it a little like caramelized. And like maybe that's the part that makes the recipe good. I don't know.
All right. Next up is Shelly. Decision fatigue. I am a full-time teacher. My husband also works full-time. We have 3 teenagers that are busy with sports and jobs after school. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted. There are times when meal planning works really well, but there are also times where I am too exhausted to come up with ideas. My husband does all of the cooking, and he rings every day to say or to ask what is for dinner. I dread that call because I can't answer it. Sometimes we'll get takeout even though we have a house full of ingredients. The weekend rolls around when I do my meal planning and meal prep, but I'm too exhausted to do it sometimes. Well, one, I get it. This is
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, everybody has these seasons.
Hmm. Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind listening to this is you say there are times when meal planning works really well. And so I'm thinking if you use Plan to Eat, those times when meal planning has worked really well, save those meal plans as menus and
Mhm.
just reuse them for these other times when you say you're too exhausted to come up with
Yeah.
ideas. And, you know, every obviously week to week, things are in your life are going to be a little bit different, but I'm certain there are some like essential pieces of those meal plans that worked really well that would work any week.
Yeah.
And maybe there's just 1 or 2 recipes in there that you could swap out with something different, or you just make the decision of like, I'm just gonna plan for takeout because that's the simple option this week,
Yeah. Yeah.
and sometimes we just need that. That's what
Yeah.
comes to my head first is like looking at those meal plans that work really well, saving them and reusing them.
Yeah. And building in a night of takeout so that you don't
Yeah.
aren't wasting groceries and money, like we've talked about extensively this episode.
Mhm.
Just build it in so that if tonight is that night, it doesn't matter if you planned it for Friday. Let tonight be that night. We'll regroup
Mhm.
on Friday. We'll cook something we bought ingredients for, but we planned this night to go out. Like you said, with like saving menus, when he calls you and says, "What's for dinner?" Like if you don't want to answer that question, like that's the thing. That's the key. It's going back to past menus and meal plans. Because even if it doesn't air quotes sound good, you can at least have an answer.
Yeah.
Like if you scroll back to 2 weeks ago and you're like, okay, we had that was really easy and that was really good. It doesn't sound amazing, but here's what we had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Can you make this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll help that dread. Like we
Mhm.
all have those times where we dread meal planning. We dread or too exhausted to do any kind of meal prep. And so like when you can reuse what you've already done in the past, it's amazingly helpful. It just fills in that gap. And that feels good because that weight is
Yeah.
immediately lifted.
Yeah, this is really interesting because sounds like she does the meal planning,
Yeah.
but her husband does the cooking. So there's an element of it where I'm like, maybe it needs to be a little bit more of a the meal planning might need to be more of a collaborative effort to
Yeah.
like ask your husband, like, what does he want to cook this week?
Yeah.
Or does he have any idea? Right. Like, and maybe you guys already do that a little bit, but if he's calling you to ask what's for dinner, then maybe like getting him involved in that process a little bit more
Yeah.
just like helps take some of the burden off of
Hmm.
you, right? Like dispersing that load a little bit of like
Yeah.
the two of you can come up with more ideas than one of you can by yourself.
Well, and instead of him calling, have him download the Plan to Eat app and open the Plan to Eat app, and you have planned baked potatoes. I'm going to use it again. Baked potatoes. Okay, cool. Got it. I don't even have to ask her. And that is a very simple thing that takes that
Absolutely.
pressure off of you. He has the app. You share the app. He sees the shopping list. He sees the meal plan that you made for him. He's doing the cooking part. You're doing the planning part. That's great. But the collaborative effort kind of culminates in having both the apps. The app is downloaded on both your phones.
Right.
There is no cost to an additional app download. All you do is download it and log in.
Yep.
One shared account. So I think that would be really helpful too.
Yeah. This is a struggle because I think that a lot of people resonate with this of like,
Yeah.
I'm just exhausted. And a lot of times I'm too exhausted to even want to meal plan. But I'm going to go back to the thing that we've said multiple times, which is we all have chores that we do that are
We don't
hard and we
like, yeah.
don't want to do them and we don't like them. And we do them anyways because we
Yeah.
know that it's a favor to our future self.
Yeah. I also think, I mean, I use this one example a lot. We're going to get this as pushback at eventually, I know, but crock pot.
Yeah.
Like if you're not exhausted when you get up in the morning, put the food in the crock pot, do your future self a favor. Like
Mhm.
that's what I keep thinking with this is like, what can we do that is a future favor for ourselves? Because I know I'm going to be tired. I know he's going to call me. I know I'm going to not want to do it. So everything we've suggested so far is eliminating it's doing something that your future self will thank you for. Having him download the app, meal planning from previous meal plans, and putting something in the crock pot so it's ready when you get home.
Mhm.
And all of those things. I'm not going to suggest meal prep because you're too exhausted to do it sometimes. But putting it in the crock pot before you go to work, then he doesn't even have to cook it. It's
Mhm.
already done. Maybe he cooks the pasta that goes with the thing that you put in the crock pot in the morning or whatever. But just like saying, I know I'm going to be too tired. What can I do right now?
Yeah. So I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
However, I know people who are teachers, and I know that being a teacher doesn't necessarily mean that your entire summer is free. A lot of teachers have to take
Yeah.
continuing education classes and stuff like that. However, I'm seeing the summer as kind of like a prime time to do a bunch of batch cooking and
Yeah.
stock up your freezer.
It's a great
If
idea.
you have the space to be able to have some recipes in your freezer, I think maybe like, the end of the summer rolls around and you're just like, we're going to spend 2 days. We're going to cook a bunch of recipes, or we're going to make a bunch of dump crock pot meals or whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm going to stock myself up for the next like 3 months of weeks that I don't want to cook, or
Yeah.
weeks that I am too exhausted. And then maybe you do the same thing again at winter break, and like,
Yeah.
I know like you want your winter break to be relaxing, but maybe you take a day and you restock your freezer with
Yeah.
some more recipes, and you just take some of that load off of the everyday
Mhm.
by doing it all at once.
I mean, this sounds a little crazy, but you could also meal plan for the entire semester.
Oh, wow.
It's a little
That's
crazy,
cool. Ooh.
but you could. Even if it was just
Even if you just put
even if you
two recipes every week, even if you put two recipes on every week, then at
yeah.
least you have two recipes that you don't
Or
have to think about.
even if you only made 2 months worth of meal plans and you did that for 2 months and then you did it again. You just like you made 8 weeks worth of meal plans and you eat the same thing for 8 weeks, same meal plan for 8 weeks and you flip it and you do the same, you just do it again.
Yeah. I mean, let's get
It's
crazy.
possible. It's possible with Plan to Eat,
It's so possible. Yeah.
and I think our goal with this person's entry is just like, how can we lift the burden? How can we lift the load?
Hmm.
And I think any combination of those things is gonna lift.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've mentioned this before, is like the idea that, like, I really like that idea of like creating way far out meal plans,
Yeah.
because I even experience when if my husband is like, hey, let's have this pot roast or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll put it on next week's meal plan. Then when I go to start next week's meal plan, I'm like, oh,
It
yes, we already
helps
have a
so much.
recipe.
Yes.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, or you could get there and be like, it's not a pot roast week. It's supposed to be like 75 degrees.
Totally.
No.
Yes.
So like there's also that, but there's this element of like having a jumping off point.
Exactly.
You can
Yeah.
look at the recipes and say, yes, super happy, so proud of myself for
Yeah.
doing this already.
Mhm.
Or you look at it and you say, not hitting right now, but at
Yeah.
least I know what we don't want. And I actually, you know what, this other pasta recipe sounds really good. I'm going to plan that
Yeah.
instead. Like there's just an element of like, when you have too many decisions to make because you're looking at your recipe book and has 500 recipes in it, it's really hard to decide. But if you're looking at the meal plan that has 3 recipes on it and you can say yes, yes, no, way
Yeah.
easier.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Another option is the meal plan, like, template,
Yes.
and then when he calls you and you're dreading the call because you don't know what to say, you can say, "Well, it's Taco Tuesday. You
Yeah.
got this."
Yeah.
But that's a really good point. Like, I keep thinking, like, I'm trying to put myself in this person's position because I've been there where I am too tired. I do not care. I do not want to
Hmm.
have the effort. Um, and that's where I think, like, somebody would give pushback of like, "Ooh, but I can't make a meal plan for 6 months because I don't know what I'm gonna wanna eat on Tuesday, November 17th." If you're in this position where you are decision fatigued completely, you work full time, you have 3 busy kids, and you don't wanna do this anymore, you might not care.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Well, I planned it, cool, we're having lasagna, I don't care.
So true.
Love it." Well, it's on there already, I did that work for myself.
Yeah. And sounds like your husband's really flexible. He just
Yeah,
calls you and asks what he's going to cook.
yeah,
So just make the plan.
yeah, and then just say look at the meal plan and be like, "Oof, all this sounds gross, let's do something different." Maybe you've got the energy to do it that week.
Yeah. I like it. Okay. Well, I think we might have found out some good ideas for this
Yeah.
one. Okie dokie. Well, we're wrapping up for today, but we appreciate you guys listening. We really appreciate everybody who has sent in their dinner dilemmas. It's been really fun to talk through some of these and come up with some more interesting ideas.
Yeah.
And you guys are definitely challenging us to think outside the
Yes.
box.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you liked this episode, this is a great episode to share with somebody who you love, who maybe isn't into meal planning yet, but you think they would be a great meal planner. So share this episode with them. We'd really appreciate it. And we will talk to you again in 2 weeks.